Our lives begin to end the day that we become silent about things that matter. This was written by Martin Luther King. Pain is all too often something that we almost go to enormous effort to avoid, to release, deny, or surpass. Pain can be physical or emotional, and the way we react, respond, or identify with it is in effect what we are choosing to do with that pain, yeah? So in Christianity, pain is a response to suffering. This is seen as a form of personal spiritual growth. If we listen to its teaching, he guides us with compassion and feeling. We can evolve with more resilience, faith, and wisdom if we can just learn to observe what that pain is teaching us. This understanding is that we are never ever alone in this moment, and that love is the key. For some other beliefs, such as Buddhism, suffering is born from our response or reaction to pain. It is considered unhealthy to attach more than observation to our pain, because this attachment may cause suffering. There is a perception that we need to accept our suffering, but also to be really mindful not to engage in a reactive state to it. There's an expression or a quote said by Friedrich Nietzsche, and it is this: "And those who were seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who could not hear the music." Coming on to my own set of beliefs, for me, please forgive me, but what I spoke before about suffering born from our response or reaction to pain and all the rest of it, it just feels a bit disconnected. In my own heart, I can't help but feel we are each designed to feel. Our feeling intuitively guides us into what is good or bad for us. If we feel pain, it gives us an opportunity to work through what we need to do in order to address it. If we simply observe, allow, or accept pain on any level, we are then disempowering the opportunity to change, alleviate, adapt, or understand the cause and effect of that pain. Our reaction sets up healthy boundaries of what is okay or what is not for each of us. And we each have a different barometer to it. Because our life experiences shape us differently, there is no one size fits all for everyone in terms of how we measure or react to pain. However, perhaps by creating the time to share space and love with one another, we can encourage healing in a safe space together rather than two separate entities. This in turn offers two very possible and doable outcomes. On the first take, we can acknowledge and encourage the other person to feel validated and to feel cared about, whether in physical or in emotional well-being. And point two is that we are not just practicing, we are practicing and actualizing love rather than just saying it with all the good intentions, which in many cases is not enough. It's like the difference between wanting something to happen or being an active and collective part of actually making it happen, actualizing it. Try explaining your good intentions to a calf who has to die just so that you can have her mother's milk in your coffee, or a person you think deserves the pain they have because your life feels blessed and your ego puts that down to karma. What does this say about you? On a worldwide level, there are over 300 million adults suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. And if we were to use equanimity to treat this in others, then that would do nothing to eliminate, connect, correct, alleviate, or even support the person through this already isolated pain. Telling them to get over it or that it's in their head with any type of pain implies that they have a choice, and this is very rarely the case, let alone the answer to helping them, particularly in respect to deep-seated pain. Think of people undergoing problematic addiction issues. Think of people that are just about to suicide. Think of people that have black dog mentalities where they're actually pulled down by their depression so badly that all they see is darkness, all they feel is darkness. To tell them it's in their head or to get over it is not enough. To be objective is not enough. Where is our compassion? Outside of showing our dissonance, it also shows a very real lack of support and empathy from the person being dismissive about the pain. How can marginalizing people be about love or compassion in any spiritual realm? Is that not just elitist and egoistic? Please, please consider kindness instead. On one hand, there is most certainly a place for equanimity, which can also be perceived as a means to being objective and balanced. But this in itself is not enough to stem the feeling of isolation in society for those feeling like they aren't well placed enough to fit in. Studies guide us that if we deny our right to express pain at the time it occurs, it has the potential to turn into cognitive dissonance afterwards, which then in turn can form into PTSD, aka post-traumatic stress disorder. Cognitive dissonance is when conflicting feelings arise from holding two polarized or opposing beliefs, ideas, or values, and ideas in the mind in the same time. An example would be when you know all your reasons for pursuing something you really and truly want, but you don't like the process you have to go through in order to get there. Post-traumatic stress disorders are ongoing triggers, negative shock impulses that come from deep-seated traumas. In post-traumatic stress disease, outstanding results in healing can and do happen when people have the opportunity to unpack and share their hearts in safe spaces with people who genuinely care about them, or practitioners who can offer them a sound space to release their pain progressively and professionally. Dismissing it or pushing it aside can result in secondary symptoms such as dis-ease in the body, for example, heart disease, cancer, asthma, obesity, anorexia, depression. Other symptoms linked are addictive type personalities or long-term psychological, neurological conditions including psychosis and trauma-based fears. If we walk around with the notion that karma is an eye for an eye, or that experiences, particularly when bad, are deservedly given to people as punishments, then all we have learned is how to disengage in polarizing, judging, and reflecting in our own cynicism and unkindness onto others, as we have already been indoctrinated to believe ourselves. Then we've learned nothing. Then I need to ask or remind you, as I have to do regularly within myself, where is the, your, mine, our love? The natural law of order in life itself is in coexistence and connectivity, not disengagement. Not in commanding sameness in others, but in celebrating our differences, even when we don't get it with others, even when we don't understand. Our coexistence depends on us reaching out and connecting with others in deeper ways, just as we ourselves may want. Not in living separate lives or letting our egos determine what life form is more worthy of life itself in the way of gender equality, ageist, or animal species, versus the pain and suffering of others. What happened to loving kindness? Where is the compassion? The answer may be found simply in treating others how we want to be treated. In order to go above and beyond objectifying others, we could perhaps learn to love one another deeply as all living beings. And herein lies a measure of actualized and non-conditional love in its purest essence. Respecting and celebrating one another at soul deep levels. In one scenario, equanimity may work for you to continue to stay and accept a scenario in which two people continue to live very separate lives, exclusive of one another's personal needs, simply for the sake of companionship and choice of convenience or docility. Even if it lacks intimacy, people can tolerate that if the alternative suggests pain by leaving. In another scenario, however, there offers more of a sacred union between partners who are willing to dig deep into and through layers of who they each are and share in a far more intimate version of connecting together versus apart, separate, and moving on to a joined, a threaded, a woven life that is more integrous to exploring depth in emotions and with whom you've always wanted to be. It might emit more pain. It might be more painful or not. It might also be the most rich joy that you have ever experienced. So long as we can trust the process, our lust for living and our integrity and resilience in a situation will just grow deeper and stronger in connecting the feelings with ourselves and others versus isolating ourselves in others in their pain when their situation feels too painful a mirror for us to process. That's the time that people usually disengage, disconnect, and walk away. It's some of the things that kept physically disconnected relationships together, dis-ease symptoms unaddressed, and also kept children quiet when things were fundamentally and crucially wrong. My own reaction tells me whether a situation is good or bad for me. I feel it. Whether I need to step back from that hot oven, that toxic scenario, or whatever it is that caused that problem. By disengaging emotionally, detachment or observation alone, we are denying our body's natural ability to process what that pain is doing to us. Isn't it time to celebrate feelings one way or the other? Let's reconnect and feel. To feel, to appreciate, and to re-find that love that we were born with. That is the key to living. Thank you.